Wherefore the words of decoder, technical terms of FWT, GSM, FWA and WAP in the case of Reliance Infocom. For a normal word like bubblegum in the case of Commissioner of Trade Tax versus Associated Distributors. For the words like flashover and voltage stabilizer were understood by the court by relying on the Wikipedia articles in the case of New India Assurance Company versus Zuari Industries and Commissioner of Trade Tax versus Parekh Gramodyog, respectively. So we have been seeing that the courts of law in India has been using Wikipedia off and on to base their judgments, to understand the things involved. But what is the road ahead? The thing that actually comes into the minds of the legal fraternity is that the issue of instability, the method of citation, and the problem that it is editable by all. With regard to this issue of instability, we have been listening for the past 2 days that although it is unstable, it is somewhat reliable because people all over the world have been looking into various articles on the question and have been trying to edit them to perfection. With regard to this method of citation, one can cite the Wikipedia article as it appears on the URL and thereafter can state the time when it was actually, the information was actually gathered. And one can always go back to the history pages and see whatever the article was on that specified date and time. And the problem that it is editable by all is a bane in itself, that users can change it as way of vandalism. But the positive sign is that although the editor and the user may not be very competent, he to some extent may know something that has not already been stated in any books of law or on the internet elsewhere, and he may have compiled everything into one place. So in the light of the same, it is time to acknowledge that Wikipedia as a secondary legal source is here to stay. In fact, I am very sorry that it was a long presentation that was due from me, but it so happened that my timings have been changing from the morning, so I just came here and gave my presentation. I'm open for questions if any.
Debashish, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You had mentioned in your that for the Supreme Court, the exact time needs to be known.
Yeah.
I would just like to mention that the history can help in 2 ways. One is that you are able to locate who is the first person who included that quote.
Yeah.
And of course, if there have been any amendments to that particular definition or whatsoever. So this is from your point of view of fixing the legal utility.
Yeah, true.
The second thing is, rather than fixing the time at a point of time when a person sees Wikipedia, at that point, whoever is using it as a legal source, as far as possible, should be advised to go to the permanent link and just click that and copy the URL. That permanent link is the one which is the better record rather than a timestamp.
Okay. I'll make it a point to note, and I would advise my friends and possibly the lawmakers also. And I would say that I got this basic idea from the Harvard Law Journal. They are using the same format, and the judges in the court of law are also using it in the same format. So that is what I have stated, how it is being used as of now. And I would like to take down your advice and pass it on as far as possible.
The permanent link also helps in the sense that it is very clear at what point that link came into existence and what time the next edit took place to change it.
Thank you.
So the like of that can be.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, anyways, so let's begin. My talk is on Wikibooks. Now when Wikipedia started, it was an instant success, and the software whose development was the crux of the success of Wikipedia, that was then later on realized that we could use it for a lot of different projects as well. And we have a lot of other projects going on. For example, we have Wikiquotes, Wikiversity, we have Wikibooks. Wikibooks is meant to develop textbooks that are free, just like Wikipedia is meant to have an exhaustive encyclopedia to cover up all the essence of the human knowledge. But then I have to ask one question. How many textbooks that have been made from Wikibooks have you come across? And even judging by the response or the questions asked by people around here in the last 1.5 days, how long have you been contributing to, well, Wikipedia? I can judge. Nobody has asked me a question. Are you a contributor to Wikipedia or Wikibooks? The questions have always centered on Wikipedia. And we need to do something about it. Not that Wikipedia has any issues. Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. We need to concentrate on development of Wikibooks. We need to accelerate it. And I'll be covering up 4 tracks majorly. First track is prototype faster. See, all the information that we want for developing a textbook is already out there. It's been 10 years since Wikipedia started, and almost all the elementary topics that you'd think are of any importance are already out there and published on textbook level material on Wikipedia. And one good thing about, one very central concept of making a textbook is that a textbook is not merely a collection of facts. It walks or guides a student through a learning process. But this statement itself implies that at certain levels, textbook is also a collection of facts. And why have all the textbooks that have started on Wikibooks not even reached that phase where it has become a collection of all the vital facts that it needs to be there? All the textbooks that have been started on Wikibooks, they do not have all the necessary facts, while all those facts have extensive articles on Wikipedia. We need to prototype faster. Apart from Wikipedia, there are also other sources which are in the Creative Commons domain. I'll be talking about them. And the important thing about them is these sources are sources as reliable as the MIT or the Khan Academy, which have been very well received over the last 3 or 4 years. The next 3 tracks are something which people might not think of as of anything important, but they define, they make a difference. One is crowdsourcing. So again, Wikipedia is all about crowdsourcing. There was a book about getting job done by crowdsourcing it to people. The name of the book was Wikinomics. Now the irony that I'm trying to point out here is wiki, the very word wiki is associated with crowdsourcing. And Wikibooks turns out to be a platform where a single author goes on developing a book that he wants to write. That is the problem. Wikibooks is not a collaborative effort. Wikibooks is generally a single person's effort. And that is wrong. You know, that is not wrong in a moral sense. That is wrong because we have much better ways to carry out a task. So that is something I'll be talking about, crowdsourcing. And within crowdsourcing, I'll be talking about having layers. You know, there is a very popular saying that some very, very good things are greater than the sum of their parts. And crowdsourcing is about that. Crowdsourcing a textbook is a very difficult task because the textbook has to have an integrity. But at the same time, the textbook needs to be, as I said earlier, the textbook needs to have all the facts in place. And both the tasks do not require the same level of dedication or expertise. So that is why I'll be talking about dividing a book into layers. And that is my crowdsourcing track. Outcome-based thinking. Well, in the last 2 days, I've found out one thing. Everyone who is a regular contributor on Wikibooks, or not on Wikibooks, but on Wikipedia or any other Wikipedia, is kind of averse towards discussing an issue on the talk pages. I don't say that they don't go ahead and talk. The problem is that they go ahead and talk too much. Those discussions are not productive. Nothing comes out of them. And well, the discussions are intellectual. You have to give it to them. But then they don't solve any problems. And that doesn't take any project further. So I'll be talking about that. Last step is perhaps the most interesting one. Persuasive design. What do we learn from Web 2.0? And I was kind of apprehensive about talking about persuasive design because I was going to talk a lot about Facebook and a lot about Orkut. And I thought maybe this won't be as well received. Maybe it is, maybe talking about these two institutions would be like, you know, breaking a tradition or something, because Wikibooks or the MediaWiki software has an outlook which is more simple, which is more elegant. And we don't want to clutter it up with technology that is meant for the masses. But then in the last, in the talk given by Jimmy Wales yesterday, he said that we definitely need to learn a lot of things from Facebook, because communication and how well information spreads across social networks, Facebook has really mastered that technology. It has mastered that technology, but what it has also done is figure out how people work, figure out what makes people click on things, and then make them involved in the process. Now, we have to know that too. So with this, having given you the complete idea of what I want to talk about, I'll let you through all the phases. So we'll be talking about prototyping faster, existing knowledge. Existing knowledge is, well, we have three broad categories. First is Wikipedia. When you want to design a book, when you want to write a book, first know what you want to write about. What exactly do you need? And then start by copying the text from Wikipedia. Now this sounds a little ridiculous. The first objection would be that you're not doing any intellectual work, you're copying. But, well, this is what we call prototyping faster or failing faster. The idea of making a prototype is not to make it immediately useful, is to test it. You know, you want to get to know things better, and you want to have everything that you have in your brain out there so that it can be processed better. Right? If I have certain opinions, if I have certain insights into a topic, and I'm just waiting for the right moment to get that out of my head, I don't have any advantage. But when I put it out on Wikibooks, or when I put it out even in a very trivial manner, it is out there for 1,000 other contributors to take it in and process it. So existing knowledge, first copy from Wikipedia. I'll be talking about an interface that can make it easier. Second is making good use of OpenCourseWare by MIT, the podcasts that are amply found on iTunes and YouTube. Some very prominent podcasters are Patrick GMT, Patrick Just Maths Tutoring. All of these are Creative Commons sources. Khan Academy, perhaps the best known podcaster. And then we have Freelance Teach. All of these podcasts are available for free. They are available under the Creative Commons license. And this is very funny. I mean, you really, and the worst part is that you need someone to explain what is funny here. You know, all of these courses are available in Creative Commons. All of these courses are available in Creative Commons. And the very aspect of Creative Commons is that People have to take it further. We are not taking any of these courses further. So define what you want to write. I'll be talking about this later. Define what you want to write about and then use existing knowledge to make a prototype. It doesn't have to be immediately useful. The only reason why you want that, you want a copy of it, however shabby, is that you can not create something perfect right, within 5 minutes. It is much more easier to first create a systematic chaos and then arrange things. Okay, so what do you do after you have everything out there? What do you do after you have made a very rough copy? So, well, you need to discuss around. Now, the immediate reply to me saying that, well, you need to discuss the material is that we already have a talk page. Well, the thing is, this falls into purview, it falls into the purview of persuasive design. We really don't have an interface that makes everything easier. Well, somebody goes to the talk page, posts a comment, but doesn't receive any comment further because talk pages are useful when everybody is using them. But then that requires a network effect. You know, if the telephone was invented in 1870s or 1880s, somewhere in the US, me buying a telephone here in India is of no use to me. The network effect hasn't taken place. Network effect is if I buy a service, if I use a service, it will be of more use to me if other people are using it too. And for that to take place, first of all, it needs to provide an intrinsic value. So there are two layers to this. So the problem with talk pages is that they do not provide an intrinsic value. They will document your thoughts, they will document your opinions, but those thoughts and opinions won't be processed. Nothing will happen after that. So what I'm suggesting here is use Wiki's cross-posting abilities. You can post the same content across 2 different pages. Use that to develop annotations. And whatever section you have a shout box or have an annotation box on the right side, have some targeted questions over there. Customized questionnaires would be, again, they'll work on the same concept as annotations, but you need customized questionnaires for people who want to give you inputs, not suggestions, inputs. Suggestions are something which will tell you, okay, this can go further. You can go take this approach. Those are not suggestions. Those are not inputs. What we want is inputs. Well, I've learned that while teaching, this misconception just takes people off track. That is an input. For that, you need to direct their thinking by asking them very, very specific questions. Can you tell us about one misconception that you have had? Can you tell us about one objection that people have while relating it to their real life models? When you ask such specific questions, inputs build up, and then the author, he has 2 things. First of all, he has resources which he can think about and then talk and then write. And the second is that he's receiving inputs on his work. That is the biggest reward that an author can get. Next thing is, we have talked about existing knowledge. The next thing is checklists. I'll suggest that people go out there and see the importance of checklists in developing quality work. You can give people instructions about a variety of things. How do you ensure that they will carry out each step out there as possible? Checklists, I'll just say one thing about them. If you have a very well-made checklist of vital, essential, and desirable things to do, you have a system in place and you do not need to educate people about everything. You do not need to have seminars about them. You just give them a checklist, they'll go through it, and they'll do things. So 3 things about a checklist are that you need to have made something like, you need to have divided the steps into vital, essential, and desirable. Vital is your bare bones structure. If I have a ball pen, then the vital thing about it is the refill and the writing system. Essential is what makes it useful. If I won't use the refill without the body. And desirable things are what makes it, well, desirable. You can add bells and whistles to the ball pen. You can make it more exclusive. You can add a cello gripper type grip to it. So desirable things, Wikibooks would be more useful when we get to the desirable stage, but first we need to complete the essentials. And this thing about prototyping it faster, I have described a lot of processes, and these would be useful only if we have a system to start them. Now, one thing I've come across recently is a website named Wikidstart. All right, and it takes a person, it takes an entrepreneur who wants to write a business plan through 10 or 15 different tracks. And he has to fill in information about the questions that are asked there. And if he is stuck somewhere, he can go through the resources, he can watch a video about it. Now, why is he answering these questions? He's answering these questions because he's making a plan before starting a business. We need to take that approach. We need to borrow that approach from them and give it to people who want to start a textbook. What will your textbook be about? How is it going to be different from textbooks that exist? How is it, if you're writing on physics, how is it different from Zemansky's textbook? How is it different from Hilde Resnick? How is it different from H.C. Verma's textbook? Or what gap are you filling in? We need to ask specific questions. And again, having such a form, having such a 10-step form is a very big advantage. If right now we have a lot of textbooks that are completed, this goes to show that there are people motivated enough who will work through without any reward. And what if you have a 10-step approach which asks you a question? Okay, just give me 2 minutes more. Yeah, what if you have a 10-step questionnaire answering which you get to know about your own project clearly and you have everything in place. You don't need to go to 3 or 4 different places. You don't need to go to a community help desk. You don't need to go to a guideline page. Everything is right there in one page. That is enough motivation. So I've completed prototyping faster. I've completed, well, I haven't got to crowdsourcing yet, but I'll just give you a very short introduction on everything. Crowdsourcing is, well, you define tasks and then you let people do it for you. And Wikipedia is all about it. Now if you want to use the crowdsourcing approach on Wikibooks now, then you have to make a distinction between knowledge-based tasks. You have to make a distinction between insight-based tasks and stuff that requires, well, mechanical work. So you need to have tasks defined. You need to have them defined as an object. You need to be able to send those tasks across RSS feeds, across checklists, across software. And well, that is how you will be able to pull in other contributors. And that is about crowdsourcing. Well, it goes into a lot of details. I have a report uploaded. It's a 13-page report, and you can read all about it on the proposal page. Outcome-based thinking, well, again, I'll move faster. Yeah, so outcome-based thinking is this. First of all, everything, if you have listed down all the tasks, now define an outcome and cross-link every task with an outcome. You know, if I want to see this section completed, go through all the tasks that are listed out and copy and paste them here. And this will allow you to complete one part of a textbook very fast. Now, this is the stuff for productive discussions. This is actually Getting Things Done workflow by David Allen. You can look it up. There's a whole industry around it. It is actually a productivity system. Now, this is for making discussions more productive. Whatever goes through, have a system in place through which we can process inputs on talk pages. It starts there. What is it? Is it actionable? Is it not actionable? If it is not actionable, either delete it or file it as a reference. If it is actionable, is it one action task, or do you need a whole project around it? And do it. That is how you classify the inputs of 1,000 different people from chaos into actionables. So that is about getting things done. What about persuasive design? Well, again, this is a very broad topic. People will or will not do something because they either have or do not have the motivation, they have or do not have the ability, or they do not have a well-placed trigger. Well, if you have a like button, you click it, and you click it instinctively. Now, Facebook doesn't ask you, Facebook doesn't make a community and say, well, across the content that was posted in the last one day, watch what do you find better. They do not hold discussions. We have triggers. If I like it, I immediately click on the like button. So there's a whole process around it. How do you go around designing a persuasive system? It's again, you can find this on the proposal page. There's a very interesting story around it. I'll just finish it up in 10 seconds. BJ Fogg is a professor at Stanford University. He has this psychology and captology lab. And one day he noticed an app that had around 10 users. 1 week later, it had 10 million users on Facebook. And then he went on and started a course in Stanford on the psychology of Facebook. And then came across a lot of inputs that Wikipedia can use. Wikipedia and MediaWiki can use themselves. Outcome-based thinking, the last 2 point, that 1 point, do review, make it better. That is common sense. We have been told about it, learning from mistakes, right from when we, right from when we were conscious. But the thing is, it's not documented. When you start making it as a formal process, when you have done something, when you have identified the problems, and then you identify what you can make it better, the mistakes of now become common senses of 3 years later, and you want to make it fast enough. So I have defined a very, very broad amount of, I've given a lot of details. I don't think I'd be able to do justice even if I were given a lot more time. The wisest thing to do is go on to the Meta Wikimedia page, Accelerating Wikibooks, and go to the report. I'll update the report with sections. I'll update the presentation. And I suggest that if anyone is interested in Wikibooks, then please discuss that topic here. And I'll end this with one statement that I really liked from Jimmy Wales yesterday. There are a lot of changes that we can make. There are 3 broad categories of those changes. One of them is changing the software to make things better. But if you want to change the software, first ask for it. They won't know. We have to ask for it. And we can't, and we have to discuss, we have to pilot test, and then we have to give them results, and then convince them to make a very radical change to the software. Remember, Wikipedia started in 2001. MediaWiki was, that was a time when we paid 55 rupees for an internet connection on dial-up. And times have changed radically after that. We don't use computers as a primary interface for going to internet. Times have changed, generations have changed, our own usage has changed. We don't need to go to a talk page to post a message. I want my own dashboard from where I can post a message to someone, and then that message spreads around. That is how we want to communicate. And for that, we need to ask first. So please go to the proposal page and do your due diligence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dharav. I'm sorry that in my role as moderator, I have to play the villain. But you can make out from this boy, he's just bubbling with ideas. He wants to tell us things. So we'll request you to make sure that you follow up on your promise and put all the links and other things on that page. And also, if anyone else is interested and interacts with you, please provide full information on the various suggestions that you can regarding methodology. Thanks a lot.
So about the Q&A session, will we have?
Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be followed by 2 short presentations. I'm sorry, they'll have to be short because we're running out of time. But they are coming from Malayalam Wikipedia. And they are 2 wonderful ideas which have been brought into fruition from Malayalam Wikipedia. Malayalam Wikipedia are the guys who do, while other guys are the guys who just talk about it. That is the feeling that those people, give us. So the first thing is about Wikisource. And we'll be having Ramesh NG talking about that. And after that, we'll be having a lecture on how to digitize a source, that means a book, and convert it into a very free format called Deja Vu. Both of them are really important to us from the point of view of saving our culture. Remember, Wikisource is the place where things which are public domain can be placed, just like Wikipedia, and made available. So if there is some 17th century poem by a Tamil poet and you want to read that original thing, Wikisource is the place to look for it, not Wikipedia, which is the encyclopedia. But on that poet's page, if you go to the bottom, most likely you will find a link there which says more material available on Wikisource. So Wikisource is a sister project of Wikipedia, and it keeps all these primary sources, most of which are public domain or out of copyright. Thank you very much. Please come.
I'm here to give you a case study where Malayalam Wikipedia community has done. My name is Ramesh. I'm active user in Malayalam Wikipedia. So this is one of the case study where we have done an excellent contribution to the project called Malayalam Wikisource. Those who don't know what is Wikisource is a collection of books which has been written, which is copy left, free license, which is old books, which is 60-year-old, more than that. So as you can read, it's one of the collaboration on the wiki source. I'll explain what is on that. So just to give you a background before going into the exact case study. So as you all know, that's Kerala is the highest literacy rate. It has got the highest literacy rate in India, and in some parts of Kerala, it has got 100% IT literacy. And there is part of this internet movement. Most of the states the one of the states where it's a villages has got a broadband connection, even the schools. Okay. And now there is a lot of revamp happened from in the education system in the Kerala that it is changed from a teacher-centered mode to a learner-centered. And there is something called as an IT at school, which is in the schools of Kerala, which is the brain behind this promoting the IT education within the schools. So it is a government, Kerala government department where they only promote the IT education in the schools. So they have IT at school club in each of the schools where they train the students on IT, how to use computer, how to use different applications in computer, and they all promote the open source software. That is one of the good advantage which this IT at school is doing. Before going into the details, I wanted to tell you that this case study is supposed to be presented by another user called Kannan. So attribute to him. He was unable to come here and present this one. So I am on behalf of that, I am presenting this particular case study. So regarding to the framework, what Kerala school is using, it has been some the framework has changed in 2007. That's called as a Kerala curriculum framework, which has been in the model of a collaborative and a critical thinking format. So it is a collaborative learning where students come and present some sort of a project, and it's a collaborative. Students come in the collaborative mode and they learn the things. So they, as part of this career, the curriculum framework, they have been provided with the internet broadband in all the schools. So they got the internet accessibility in all the schools. And one of the important thing is that where the Malayalam Wikipedia community has given a good contribution is that the IT at school has created a website called schoolwiki.in, which is a media wiki, which is the software base of the Wikipedia or any Wikipedia project, and it is looks like a Wikipedia page. This is independent of Wikipedia. There is nothing to do with the Wikipedia. It is only the base software, which is a media wiki. But a lot of active community members of Malayalam Wikipedia has helped creating this particular sites. This site is only for the school students. Each school will have their own page where they have to update their own information like the school history, activities happening in the school, all those things they will be updating. So it's an encyclopedia of their own school, the particular schools. So a part of this initiative they conduct, and the IT at school conducts a lot of workshop sessions, part of this IT at school initiative. The initiative is that this part of this IT at school project, the teachers are familiar with the Malayalam typing, which uses an InScript keyboard, InScript input method, and they conduct Malayalam typing competitions as part of the IT festival, which is being conducted annually in the district, sub-district, and the state level. And what is the Malayalam Wikipedia contribution to this is that the community goes to their individual schools which are in far villages, and we as a community members go to their schools and conduct the Wiki Academies. So Wiki Academies is nothing but as just like we conduct in 4 other cities, we go and teach students how to edit a Wikipedia, how to create a page, or how to make changes in this. So we are trying to make the students as editors of the Wikipedia. Even there was an initiative done by the community which is approaching to the IT at school department that we have formally met IT at school director and discussed things like freeing up the license for the government official website, which has been successful. And as part of that one, this IT at school has got some of the information about Wikipedia in the 8th and 9th standard textbook. It mentions about the Wikipedia. So this is just a snapshot of a textbook page of 8th and 9th standard students. It mentions about, it has a snapshot of one of the pages in the Wikipedia. It also mentions about the different projects in the Wikipedia, like about a Malayalam Wikipedia project like Wikipedia, Wiktionary, Wikibooks, Wikisource, MediaWiki, and Wiki University. So it mentions, so the students, when they also part of the curriculum are learning what is Wikipedia and how to edit Wikipedia. And also there are leaders for them, like IT club members. They have got leaders which has been trained by IT at school for teaching them all this infrastructure, how to edit, how to use the computer, and how to use Malayalam typing and all that stuff. So this is just a background to understand that how equipped are this Kerala school students to have this, for helping the Malayalam Wikipedia community. Now, what is that case studies? I'll coming to this case study. So it has been the case study. The students, what they have done is they have done a collaborative work of converting an epic poem, which is almost 100 years old, to they have digitalized and brought into as into the wiki source of Malayalam. So this is called as Ramachandra Vilasam. Is one of the epic poem written in Malayalam in the year of 1907, which has been printed in 1907, which is not available for a long time. Now students have got, some of the students or their families has got the copy of this book, which is quite old book. They have converted into, they have typed their own and brought them all the content of this book into Malayalam wiki source. So about this book, it is, if you look at this book, it is one of the first epic poem in Malayalam language. So now the printed copy was not available for all. Now it is, this copy is available for the entire, in the entire world as a digital. So entire Malayalam community in the world. So about the book, it has got somewhere around 21 sargas. Sargas means it is the stanzas. And it is 1832 sloga. Sloga is the slogam, which is paragraphs. And it has also some of the illustration of the poem, the pictorial illustration of the poems, which I would show you some of the snapshot of that one. And we got, before going into how we have done this particular project, I just wanted to show some of the media attention. This has been got some of the media attention, which has also created an awareness what the students has been doing. This is one of the snapshots on the Malayalam newspaper, which is also, we also got some of the coverage from the Indian Express, where the other school came to know, then the other community came to know about the effort by the school students. To this one, we also got some coverage in the Hindu. How they have done is, part of the awareness, what happened is there other schools has also came up and doing the same thing for other books. Some of the old books, they are still in the pipeline, they are converting and bringing into the public as a digitalization project. How we are done is, there are around 15 schools part of this particular project. They were looking at the book and typing and converting the things which is printed already, and they were typing in online in Malayalam Wikisource and bringing into that. We have created a project page where all the paragraph, all the stanzas which has to be converted, all first indexed, and the index is being created. Then the responsibility of each index is divided into different schools, different set of students. So somewhere around 80 students were part of creating this one. Converting, they were being just typing, and remember that they were doing as part of their, just like a homework or just like a normal routine job assignments they do. So, once it has been completed, what they have done is the ITS school has divided the students, with the form of a certificate that, all those students, to all those 85 students that they have awarded with a certificate. So all this thing, it has been happening within Wikipedia, but it is without any involvement of a Wikipedia community. It's just an awareness which the Malayalam Wikipedia has created among the students, which has created such a huge content and such a rare content to the Malayalam Wikisource project. So that's it, one of the study. If I would wanted to show some of the snapshot of this particular project, so probably some, it is on the Malayalam language, and some of the illustration of this particular has been also, the pictorial illustration has been scanned and kept in this one. So all other stanzas which comes around the books is containing around 200 above pages on that one, which has been all converted into Malayalam text now. It is available to reference as the online Malayalam wiki source. Yeah, thank you so much. That's my, any questions? This is the epic poem. It's a story. It's something like a poem, which is very old one, and it's mentioning as a kind of a, it's considered as not as like as Ramayana or something in Malayalam, but it's something like an ancient story on that one. It's pictures. Okay, so this picture, this is a pictorial presentation of a stanza, where the stanza of a poem portion is been represented in a something like a geometrical way, so that you can memorize, and looking at this pictorial you can also memorize on this one. Probably one of my friend who is much about the book called Vishwa can explain a bit on that one. Can you pass the mic to Vishwa, please? Yeah. So you wanted to come down and explain? So,
actually, if you are aware of the Indian prosody of poetry, the Pingalas, Chanda Shastram, this comes as a part of that. There are different kind of writing poetry. Our new modern way is just writing it in letters. There was a time poetry was transferred only by voice. So these prosodic patterns actually determine how to rhyme them, how to put them into separate meters, what we call in Indian languages as ganas and matras. So they are a very representative form because you can visualize and remember the pattern, and the letters or the words will come automatically once you have practiced that. It was a way of recording things when we did not have a system of computers or even books. So these were a typical illustrated story. In fact, one of the chapters, the final chapter, has made a story, what we call as bandhas, or interconnected letters forming together a semantic stanza. So it's a prosodic pattern. It's a very interesting part of Indian poetry. So this is also one typical part. Technically, it's important for us because this is going to be a SVG rendered HTML5. Only HTML5 can do such kind of representation digitally. So this is going to be another important feature of the next Wikipedia problems, where you have to represent both graphs, vector graphs, as well as text. All of them searchable and vectorially zoomed in, out, or search, or do whatever with intelligence built in. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions? There's one more interesting session coming up, how to digitalize that one. And I think that will help you more than. Any more question here on this? Thank you so much.
Malayalam Wiki community. I'm just demonstrating how a book is digitalized. It's, as a collaborative work. I think already all of you know about Wikisource. Wikisource is an online library of free content publications collected and maintained by a community. It's a screenshot of English Wikisource. Yeah, we are in Wikipedia. We are digitalizing the books using this DAW format. It's a computer file format like PDF. Its main feature is it can compress the file size of the books in 1/4 of the PDF, and also it's handled as a image format at each page as a image. Yeah, it uses a technology such as image layer separations of text and background image, progressive loading, and arithmetic coding, and loosely compression for bitonial image. You can get more information at the wiki page, Dejavu. Then the problem is to convert our scanned image or books, PDF books, to this format. There is so many tools are available there. In Windows, there is any to Dejavu converters and something like in Linux there is PDF to Dejavu. There is also so many bash scripts are also available. Yeah. The more information that will get the English wiki source page. Then the main problem of the digitization is that there is no OCR technologies that much developed in our Indian language. We need to type the content manually as using our manpower, and that's the main problem we are facing. Then I wish it will fix in future in 5 or 6 years. Then it's uploading to Wikipedia. It's like a common image uploading to Commons. Like take the Commons upload page and give the file. Just mention the proper